Welcome to today's blab. I got interested in this topic because in a few months' time, I'm going to be giving a talk. I've been invited to give a talk at the Leadership Summit with a focus on resilience. And so this conversation today, Bron, and for all of you, feel free to chip in. This is part of my research in gathering the information as to what people think and sifting through it. I've already done a bit of a Facebook survey, which was fantastic. That was specifically on strategies for building resilience. And yeah, terrific feedback there. But today, I wanted to go beneath the strategies. What comes before the strategies? Is resilience important in leadership? And I suppose when we think of resilience and leadership, we need to come back to thinking, in my mind anyway, what is resilience to begin with, and then to see if it's appropriate and how relevant, how important to being a good leader. So I know that, Bronwyn, you do quite a bit of work in the leadership area. I know you do a lot of coaching of leaders, and that's why I invited you to be a part of the conversation today. I know that you'll have some great advice, and we don't always, or great tips, and we don't always get into that area in our beach walks.
Very true.
So, Bron, I'd love to hear what you think. Well, firstly, let's start off with what's your understanding of resilience, because I think that will help us to hone it into resilience being applied to leadership.
Beautiful. Thank you, Marg, for the opportunity. This is a topic very near and dear to my heart for lots of reasons. And yes, I do coaching, individual coaching around strategic leadership development. But I do more group work on strategic leadership development with teams, and it always strikes me as one of the really, for me, the way I read people, the most observable quality that I look for and value most in a leader. And when I say a leader, I'm not talking about a title given to a person. I'm talking about the person and what they can bring into the space to help take people forward. My definition of resilience is really about, and to keep it very basic, I like stripping things down to pub talk. It just keeps it simple, I can quote all of the wonderful research and use some very, very precise jargon. I choose not to.
Yeah.
So my take on resilience is having the capacity to fall over, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and look at what the learning was in that process. So we can actually give ourselves the permission to make a mistake and learn from it, and then share what we've learned from it so that we can help pave the way forward for those that we're needing to lead. That to me is a quality that is it's quintessential, because when we've seen, and I've seen it many times in workplaces where I've been asked to come in and help build strategy around strengthening team, but effectively dealing with ineffective leadership.
And
what I see missing is this ability or a willingness to actually go, you know what, I'm at a bit of a loss. I'm not quite sure what I need to do here. I best put my hand up and ask for some help. I just see there's a lot of barriers that people are facing, particularly in making decisions from a perspective of being in a role that it's required. So I see these people that are, senior managers, senior executives, bureaucrats, whoever they are. They carry this weight of responsibility about, I'm not sure about how to do this, because if I make a mistake, what'll happen then? And I think that actually in the making of the mistakes, we can, publicly, and allowing people to share some of that with us, we can actually help people feel more connected to us because we actually do come across as then being human, not knowing everything, not being perfect, being prepared to, like I said, fall over in the dirt, pick yourself up, dust yourself off and go, rightio, best get back on the pony because I know what not to do next time.
Yeah.
Makes sense?
Yeah. That it's interesting when you said, you know, some leaders put themselves up as having it all. You know, they're the fount of all knowledge. But, you know, and when you said not knowing, it reminded me of a quote. Henri Nguyen is a bit of a mentor and a guru of mine. I love his writing. And he said that the people who can be most valuable in our lives are the people who don't have all the answers. It's in the not knowing. It's in the helplessness sometimes. Yeah. But just being prepared to be with people that can make all the difference to how a person can feel valued, can feel validated, and can feel that they can move forward too. So, you know, that old adage, I suppose, I don't know if it's old or not, but in our vulnerability, we are actually much stronger.
Oh, Marg, one of my most repetitive statements that I use for myself and for my clients is I'm allowed to stand strengthened in my vulnerabilities.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that can often, I'm aware that can often look like I feel very confident in entering some very confronting, awkward, complex situations. What I feel confident about in being able to enter some of those situations is in the knowing that I don't know everything and I might not get it right every time. But if I get to look from that angle, that's where I think there's a greater opportunity to develop some really solid, authentic leadership.
Yeah. So when we think of the concept of leadership, it obviously involves two sets of people. There's leadership and then there's followership. Mm-hmm. So you have a leader and you have followers. Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering, how do you view the importance of resilience? You know, is it more important in the leader than the followers, or is it the same? What do you think? What's your take on resilience and leadership as opposed to the rest of the mob who are, you know, in followership, if you like?
Well, I guess I have a slightly, I want to say, imaginative view on this. In most of my work over the last 20 years, and I have worked with people that have experienced great hurt and harm, conflict and tension, emotional, physical, financial, spiritual pain. And what I've discovered in that space of having worked with thousands of people, I actually believe the majority of people are a leader to someone. Mm. So, you know, I've worked with parents that have been really confronted and felt like their kids have had more power over them than they have themselves, and supporting them to go through journeys of exploration around, well, you know, and one of the key phrases I used to love using in that space was, have you ever thought of yourself as being the CEO of an organisation? They go, nah. So, And one particular parent comes to mind. I said, you have 7 children. And she went, yeah. I said, do you not see yourself as one of the most important people in those children's lives? And she said, yeah, I do. I said, so your husband goes to work, he earns the money, so he financially contributes, yeah? And she said, no, I do everything else. I said, so if we actually pulled that apart and looked at what that everything else is, and we looked at the work health and safety, we looked at the human resources, you know, like looking at her duties as a mother, but from a very different perspective to what she'd ever looked at before. My goodness, honestly, that woman, she sat back. I will always remember her response. She just looked at me and went, I had never thought I was that important.
Yeah, fantastic. So that's bringing out the leader in each of us.
I believe it's there. I think we are all leaders of someone.
And I mean, we have to be, if we're living our own lives in any purposeful way, we're actually leading that. Along with the, you know, the wonderful guidance that we get from beyond. But I think, we lead the life that, that's the expression, we lead our lives.
Exactly.
The life you are living, the life you are leading.
So we are, and that's why I prefer to see it from that perspective, that we are all leaders in some capacity. Yeah. And if that,
go on.
Well, if we can, and I know that's part of my role in the work that I do. And when I say work, I don't just mean work that I get paid to do. Work I do in my community, work I do with my family, in helping share and learn together. I think the more that we can actually, I kind of think of it, it's like dispersed leadership. When my daughters come to me, with questions around parenting, I never purport to have an answer for them, because I just want to support them. My best line is, you know your children better than anyone else on this planet.
Mm.
So I feel that's the greatest gift that we can really encourage everyone that we come into contact with, is to own their own experiences and to claim their own sense of leadership, who it is that they are leading.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, good point. And I suppose in that regard, the leadership and the followership actually becomes merged, because there's the leader in all of us. And so drawing from that, the resilience that, the level of resilience, I suppose, is equally important in the leader as it is in the follower.
Absolutely.
Would you agree?
I'm just going to take a screenshot of you, because the glare behind you actually...
sorry.
No, it actually looks like you've got angel wings.
Oh, I was trying to shift the computer to move it. I'm actually, you know where I am in my house. I've decided to let light and air into my day today, because I need that sort of a day. And so I'm so lucky to have that space.
When I send you the screenshot, you will be absolutely astonished. It seriously looks like you have got these wings coming out. Sorry,
maybe
what was the question?
Maybe will I use that screenshot as a backdrop when I give the talk at the summit, do you think? So Vin, are you in the room still? So do you want to chip in at all? Do you want to come on in? Have you got anything you might want to contribute on leadership? It's a fascinating topic, because I get a bit appalled at some of the leadership styles that I see around, and I don't know if I'm thinking, when we tag resilience and leadership, I don't know that resilience is actually the be-all and end-all of a good leader at all. I don't think it amounts to one criteria or one value set, if you like, of a person who is quite resilient will make a good leader. I'm not so sure about that. And then we look at the leadership styles that we have, and I'm wondering, well, for you, Bron, what do you think resilience, do you agree that it's just one of many factors in a good leader?
Absolutely.
Or do you see it as the key component?
No, it's not the key. It's certainly a very important characteristic that I find attractive in leadership. But there are many others that feed into it for me as well. It's bigger than just the resilience being, the key factor. For me, I look up to leaders who are prepared to make mistakes, who are prepared to be very considerate, firm, fair, and respectful.
Yeah.
And someone who will listen.
Yeah. So
the resilience isn't enough for that to be the only key component for me to want to if I had to make decisions about following someone into an unknown experience or an unknown territory, I'd be looking for more than the one quality of resilience in that leader.
Hmm. Yeah, I think, resilience is just probably the personal aspect that allows a person to keep on going. Like you defined it in the same way that I would. What is resilience? Well, it's the ability to bounce back from difficult situations or from challenging people, or from my own internal conflicts.
Yeah.
The ability to move beyond all of those. And I think that alone is not going to do it to be a good leader. Hi, Vin. Great.
No, it's not enough.
But what I think is that with a leader, the importance of resilience is that, like in leadership, is because there is a followership, they're probably more exposed to more difficult situations and people, more challenges than someone who's not in the leadership position. So if you've got the leader of, let's say, Australia, or the leader of a school, or the leader of a church, or the leader of anything, they're obviously got so many people that they're responsible for and so many situations that they're responsible for, that there's got to be an insurmountable number of challenges there that are they're going to cop. And so to me, that's the importance of, that's the value, and the necessity for a high level of resilience in a leader.
Absolutely.
So Vin, hi, welcome Vin. Glad that you're here. And what have you got to say about it all?
Hi Margaret. Hi Bronwyn. Sorry, I was actually in another room when you called me out. So I've come back in.
Blabbing again?
No. I was actually making kombucha.
Very important though.
Yeah, exactly. So I was just brewed my tea, put my tea bags in, and I should go and let them out in 10 minutes, Bronwyn? Brew?
I'll probably go a little bit longer, but then I like that extra bit of tannin in mine. All
right. Well, I've just put them in, so I will have to leave at 12 o'clock.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I don't have anything massive to add to the conversation, although I, as you saw from my comment, I was a little bit lost on what the topic was, because it's just well-being is the topic in the title. Yeah, so it's about resilience and leadership, right? From what I can gather.
Yeah. That's interesting, Vin, because I did tag it also for today's title. After Wellbeing Weekly, I put in how important is resilience in leadership.
Where did you put that? In a tweet?
I put it in a tweet.
Yeah, because I can see just up there the title is just Wellbeing Weekly Wednesday.
Yeah, because I intend, like, this will be a weekly thing and the topic will change each week.
Yep.
So I obviously need to do better in announcing that the way that I announce it.
Yeah, no, I would just conclude it in the in the title, because I'm looking at your tweet now, and the tweet just says the same as the title, because you must have hit the Tell a Little Bird, and it's just replicated the title.
There was another one earlier. Okay.
No worries. So resilience, I think it's a very small part of leadership, to be honest. It really just means the ability to sort of bounce back up when you're knocked down. And I suppose that's important for leadership, but I would say it's not the most important aspect of leadership.
Yeah, I agree.
Because resilience, you talked about the leader of Australia, and I thought immediately of John Howard and how he's so stubborn and headstrong, and wouldn't want to damage his reputation by going back on his word rather than, what was best for the country. So, is that resilience? Well, it sort of is. It's a bit like stubbornness, though. It's a bit more of stubbornness, and the two are sort of tightly entwined, I think.
I don't think of that as resilience. I think of that as a disregard for the actual purpose of what the position and power was voted in to do. Whoa, that was the wind, sorry.
Stuff in the background behind you moved even.
Yeah, look, I think that, it is resilience because they bounce back. It bounces off them.
Yeah.
It doesn't penetrate even sometimes. And so, yeah, by definition, I suppose it is resilience, but it's
perhaps it's more
not good leading.
Sorry, perhaps it's more resistant, or maybe resilience isn't entirely the correct way to describe it, because if you don't get knocked down, you don't sort of spring back up. It's sort of like, I don't know. I sort of hate talking about, or don't like talking about John Howard. so maybe not.
Yeah, but I think the leadership that demonstrates that resilience is only one quality in leadership. So yes, people do need to be able to bounce back after the challenges. But I've coined the term, whether I have or not, but someone might have before me, compassionate leadership.
I was going to use the word empathy, because a leader who doesn't have empathy with the people is not in touch. And, our current leader of the country perhaps is a great example of that, where he doesn't really have any understanding of the problems of a common person. Some of the things Joe Hockey said about people, poor people don't drive cars, so don't worry about it. All those sorts of things demonstrate an elitist attitude that's sort of out of touch with the people. So I think empathy and understanding of the people that you're leading is absolutely vital. Otherwise, you're not going to lead anyone.
Yeah, absolutely. And to me, that's about that. When you really dig down into that, it's for me, I'll own my thoughts on it. It really is about listening. That, having a willingness to listen and consider what the majority are saying, that for me is a very powerful quality of a good leader.
Listening is so important, and I think you probably know that last weekend, I attended a talk in Brisbane by Wayne Dyer, and one of the key questions that I came away with that was stated by him is, how may I serve? And I think that's a beautiful question to ask, how may I serve? And I think the empathetic or the compassionate leader will ask that question and will seek to find an answer that resonates with the people that they've been positioned or chosen to serve. And that's quite different from, it goes back to you, Bron, what you said earlier. It's quite different to having all the answers, that I know all the answers and I've got all the information and I'll put that upon you and you'll suck it up. You'll take it. And in a way, I see that we're being fed like this and we're being led like this from the top, that we know all the answers. There's a lot of being out of touch, I think, that's being demonstrated, in the political arena, dare I say, and I don't want to get into politics really, so we won't discuss John Howard anymore either. Yeah,
I know. And I thought of bringing up another leader, but, this isn't all about Prime Ministers of Australia. I know, I understand that, but when you talk about empathy and understanding the commoner, I was reminded of Annabelle Crabb's interview with Bob Hawke. Did either of you see that? And she sort of kept asking, but how were you so liked by the people? And he sort of almost sort of chastisingly said, look, Annabelle, I told you, it's just a matter of like connecting with the people and understanding the common man and talking to him on his level, showing that you understand who he is and what his problems are. And I think Bob Hawke was great at that, and everyone loved him because he just seemed like a bloke, and just like a common guy, like your next door neighbour or something. And I remember that day when we won the Australia Cup, and he said, "Yeah, you've all got the day off," or any boss who sacks you for not coming in today is a bastard or something like that. you know, and those sorts of things really endear you to the people.
Bring your gift to any sleep country.
Hello, I'm Guy Cook from Seattle, and I only came in. This will feed his ego no end. But Vin was on a blab a while ago, a few hours ago, and I didn't have headphones. Remember that? And the echo was real bad.
Was that you? Sorry.
That was me. But now I'm on my headphones, obviously. I don't have headphones for that phone attached with it. Their headphones will clean the house. And because I was talking to Sean, I didn't think I needed them. I want to thank you in person for your patience. And sorry about that, because as you know, when you have an echo, you can't hear it yourself. So I didn't know what was even going on.
Yeah, but I saw you on, I think it was Eileen's blab. You were popping in and out. And
Probably. I do that.
Yeah, we were loving
I'm
it.
guilty. Hi, Brown. Hi, Margaret. Where are you from? I already know you're Margaret Lambert, but where are you from, kid?
I'm from Darwin, Guy. It's great to know that you're from Seattle. I'm from Darwin. And
well, that's an hour away to Seattle, but if I say where I'm really from, you're going to go, where? So I say Seattle because it's more of a landmark.
Seattle's good for me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I live west of Seattle, actually, on the peninsula. The state of Washington, there's like a body of water that comes down. They call it Puget Sound, kind of like a miniature Hudson Bay, if you will. It's a little bitty one though. But anyway, if I get in a boat and rowed straight across, I can see Seattle from the shore, and it would take me about an hour to get there in a boat. And just a little outboard skiff, you know, like a 25-horse outboard. It takes a while.
Oh, fantastic. So, Guy, what do you do?
I do web stuff. If you look at my profile, it's got an About, Got Me, Whack, Guy R. Cook, and that's a faster way to say it than taking you to countless other social adventures. I do web work. I've been doing websites. Some people say since before there was pictures. I sold my first website in August of 1995 by pure luck. I was just trying out the pitch to say, well, maybe this website thing will work, but I need to really test it on a vendor. They know, you know, like I'd never sell a necklace to a lady until I showed it to her.
Can I interrupt for a minute?
Sure. It's okay to interrupt me because I get long-winded.
Last time you had an issue with your sound because you weren't wearing headphones. Now there's an issue with your sound because it sounds like there's a radio on in the background.
Oh, that's my television. Just a second. Sorry about that. I didn't even think about it because I can't hear the TV with my headphones.
Yeah, well, we can. That's all we can hear.
It's gone now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so I go to the farmer's market. Now picture this, Margaret. I walk up to the farmer's market, and I don't have all the eggs in the carton. You know what I mean? I basically have the concept, I'm going to build web pages. You can provide information about your goods and services 24/7, all that speech. But I don't have a rate card. I don't know how much it costs or anything, because I know in 1995, no one's going to really buy one, right? So I walk up to, is it Bronwyn? I go up to Bronwyn and I say, hi, Bronwyn, my name's Guy Cook, and I'm going to sell web pages. And she stops me right there. Wait, I'll write you a check right now. How much is it? I said, excuse me? I really don't have the prices. I wanted to find out about your business, you know, because I'm trying to get away from writing me a check. No. This lady raised sheep and sold the wool off her sheep for people to make yarn, and she made homemade soap. So in the process of making homemade soap, the guy that sold her the fragrances to put in the soap to make it smell nice, he told her in one of his rounds, you have to get to one of these website things because all of your vendors that you're going to buy from are going to be online. You know, this is before Amazon is even invented. I don't think Jeff was even born then. Anyway, he probably was. She wants me to give her the rates right then. So get this, Guy is paying $20 a month for shared hosting. I had 20 gigs of space on a server in the Bay Area. Mm-hmm. And it was costing me $20 a month. So I'm doing the math. I'm saying $20, that's $240 a year. She should pay at least half of that. Then I don't have to worry about her taking up all the space. So I told her $120. I built all the pages, hosted the site, did all the troubleshooting, setting up the email and stuff for a year for $120, for $10 a month. yes, those days have marched on and gone away. But anyway, and I've never looked back.
Yeah, okay. Can I just pull up there because Bron's got to go. Thanks for your input, Bron, on leadership and resilience. So that's great. We'll catch you at the next blab.
Look forward to
or
it.
on the Okay.
See
you.
See you, Bronwyn.
Okay.
So, Guy,
Yes.
I'm just wondering, because our topic today is on resilience and leadership, do you have any thoughts on that?
When you're in management, you only get to do what you want to do about 37% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like you might have a plan for the day. Like when I turn on the computer, I got about 14 websites I update this plugin and so forth on, and do all those have to do things, okay? And I get up real early in the morning because I know once the phone starts ringing, my day is gone. Any events or dances I was going to do, that band isn't going to get on the stage because Ben is going to call and say, hey, I need to know how to make the width of my slideshow match it. I just fixed this a minute ago. The width of my slideshow, the industry standard for a header banner is 728 by 90, but the hole they're trying to put it in is only 710 wide. I said, you're going to have to change your layout of your site, okay? So
where do you see that resilience, and leadership comes into that?
Is being willing to get up and do that again tomorrow. I think that you'll never have to work a day in your life if you like what you're doing. So I don't really look at it as resilience because I'm not like hanging on the edge of a cliff. I'm enjoying the heck out of what I do because I learn something every day. Like today I learned from Vin, I won't hear my echo, right? So take that to bed, and then the next time I sit on the back porch with my phone, that was my covered back porch, that roof over my head. The headphones will be in tow. I'll have the headphones. Leadership is by example. I think people follow leaders and people work for bosses. Okay? That's where I kind of, if people are following what I do, then I'm a leader. I'm providing leadership in that project. If they want to do their own thing, that's fine. Let them. I don't care.
Yeah, well, I think, you raised a good point, actually. The ability to get out of bed even after a crappy day. You're prepared to get out
Monday.
of bed the next day. But then I think part of the resilience, and earlier Bronwyn and I were talking about the leader in each of us.
Right.
So, and you've raised the willingness to learn new things. And I think that's probably an important part of resilience.
And also, I think you have to demonstrate confidence in what you're doing. And my dad always told me, from practice you gain skill, and from skill you'll have confidence. So if I didn't practice making ad banners, right, I wouldn't be confident talking about them. I'd probably go something like, well, geez, some banners are 640 wide. You want one wider than that? Well, why is that? But I've looked at the industry standards for ad banner sizes, pretty religious, I think. And so when people have that question, I can answer it. I also have the inability, Margaret, to shut up. I think out loud. I'm
right now, guys. I'm just going to shut you up.
I'm a confessed blabbermouth. I apologize.
To shut you up. So I don't like to actually keep these sessions that long because I know people are blabbing about all sorts of things, and people become time poor. So, but just before we do finish off, I'm wondering if you have any particular strategies. Let's say, Vin, do you have any particular strategies for developing resilience? What helps somebody to be able to bounce it? If we're going to teach, and Guy said, it's when we become skilled and know our stuff that we can be more confident. And so, that's the leadership. But what about, how do we get to that point that we feel that if someone says, well, you don't know what you're talking about, or, bugger off, to use the Aussie.
There's the Britain word.
What do you do to bounce back? So, Vin, what would you suggest?
That's a hard question. I think I'm generally very resilient by nature, probably too much so, because I just tend to bounce back constantly, and it burns me out, so I sort of internalize those issues rather than externalize them, and so that I end up sort of destroying myself from within by not heeding those things. So for example, something might knock me down, like a cold, a physical, illness, and I'll sort of, again, this is where maybe the stubbornness ties into resilience, where I'll stubbornly say, no, God damn it, I've got work to do, and I'll push on and soldier on, as I say. But that then reduces.
Unless you're married, and then the queen of everything will say, no, you stay in the bed. You get out of that bed, I'll put you back in it.
Yeah.
So then your resilience kind of goes, yes, dear.
And
so, it's called survival. There's resilience and there's survival. Go ahead.
And that's followership too.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't think. I mean, I guess I'm twisting it again, but it seems like there can be a danger to resilience as well as a positive thing, because there's you need to. It's like often people talk about the drop down oxygen mask in the plane. You're supposed to put that on your face first before you put it on the people next to you. So, or the fireman can't carry anyone down out of a burning house if he's not strong enough. So he has to look after himself first. And I think whatever it is you're doing, you need to first put your health above anything else. So you shouldn't be resilient in denial of your health. So, I mean,
it boils down to who's number one. Who's going to take care of you more than anybody else that you know? It's yourself.
And I think
that's a basic ingredient, and it's long been forgotten. I think we were all raised to tough it out and to get on with it. But it's not until we've probably got to a pretty low point in our lives that we realise that formula is probably not the best for us in being able to be the best person. And if we adopt the adage or the question, the philosophical question, how may I serve? Well, you're not going to serve anyone very well if you're not serving yourself first.
Absolutely.
Yeah, take care of numero uno. That's right.
Yeah. So it's critically important. That's the number one part of resilience, I think, is self-care. It goes hand in hand. And if we don't adopt self-care...
Life will give you some chances to either follow the doctor's orders, take your medicine, and go on the diet like I had to do a year ago, or you die. It was a real no-brainer, easy decision to make. Okay? He said, you need to lose some weight or you're going to have another. I had 2 major strokes. Knocked me on my knees, and thank God I walked away from it. A little bit of a blabbermouth, but I walked away. And he made it real clear to me, quit eating all the junk that you're eating, the donuts and the ice cream and so forth. Eat healthy, get some more exercise. Don't sit at your computer all day, but I don't follow that too well. And you'll walk away from this. You'll survive. And all of my relatives, the kids, are all telling me they're amazed that I just cold turkey just gave it up. There's no more ice cream in the house. There's no more donuts. Just I don't do it. I said, kids, come on. It's a no-brainer. It's like if you do it, you'll die from it. So you don't do it. You don't eat poison, do you? Right. Yeah, Why do you not eat poison? Because it'll kill you.
Yeah, but I think, Guy, as I said before, I think it's for most of us, it's when we hit that almost rock bottom situation that we do see that we actually have to change our ways, and in that way we do become more resilient. Taking care of ourselves is enabling us to become more resilient. So, look, I just want to touch on some of the strategies. I thought it might be useful, to share them because I did ask what are your strategies. And we've heard some strategies from each of you. But I put out a Facebook post on this because I'm interested in getting as much information before I give this talk at the summit later in the year. And I thought I'd be interested to know what, other people do too. It was that same question. It was, what are the strategies for developing resilience? And so you interested in hearing what they said?
Absolutely.
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah. That's why we clicked on the topic, young lady.
Some of the responses that came back, and it was fantastic. One of them was prayer for somebody. They responded that prayer life is really important and helps them to be resilient. Mm-hmm. Another one, it was music and dance. That helps them. Not surprisingly, in my friendship circle on Facebook, some came back with EFT, emotional freedom techniques, which is a tapping that we do.
Okay.
And when they wrote that, I wrote back and said, "Good answer."
Oh yeah.
And another one which I thought was really interesting: separating myself from the problem, being able to separate myself from the problem, and I thought that was terrific.
I've done that. I will have a problem on the computer. Like I spend 11 hours with pardon my French, an idiot engineer in the Philippines that works for Microsoft. And if I have my way, she'll not work there anymore, or she'll get retrained. She doesn't know what she's doing. So 11 hours later, I said, I got to stop. This is not going to get past where its impasse is at right now. It has to do with the Windows 10 upgrade not working. And the little bit that I've learned in the last 20 years about computers, she wasn't convinced that I'd done it for 20 years, and so it couldn't work. So I just stepped away from it. I haven't called them back all day today, intentionally just saying, there's other things I need to focus my energy on instead of that negative experience, because that's not going to be a fun gig, okay? So if it's not that fun, I think I'll go rig up a new climbing harness for the cucumber plants in the garden. That's where I just finished doing when I talked to Vin. I was sitting on the back porch playing with the phone. And that's how I maybe formed resilience. And so I'll rest up, lick my wounds, heal up a bit, and then I'll go back to the good fight.
Yeah, fantastic. I've just got a few more. Yeah, so that's a really important point, separating yourself from the problem. And Nikon, there's a comment in the side, addiction doesn't work that way. It's very hard, and I get that. When we have an addiction, and I can, even though I haven't had a substance addiction as such, I almost feel that, a condition that I did have almost became addiction. And I think probably all of us are addicted to something, whether it's a substance or a belief or
breathing.
Something in some way. But,
I'm hooked on breathing quite bad.
And we continue on as though it's part and parcel of who we are. And so it's not until we can separate it out, I think, that we can say that we're actually not the problem at all. There is a problem there. I'm very attached to it, and so it's working on how to detach from that problem. But just getting on, sorry, because I want to wind it up before too long. Other responses for developing resilience was reconnect with nature, and that's what I love to do as well. Other ones were reading positive readings, or inspirational readings that allow people to actually come back to believe that they are still valued despite feeling really low. And of the other couple that I've got are supportive people, really important to have, and mindfulness, staying in the present, somebody else said, and Avatar. I know Avatar is a particular brand name of, therapy, if you like, and mindfulness.
Oh, I thought it was a movie. I'm listening and I'm going, so she's going to talk about the blue guys, right? No, she's not. Okay.
So there's a question here on the side. Would you say that resilience and persistent are the same? Definitely not.
Yeah, one starts with an R and one starts with a P.
And apart from, the letter that they start with, persistence is actually persisting, doing the same thing, repeating the very same thing that's probably causing the problem anyway. That's persistence. Resilience is taking a step back and removing myself from the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's the difference. So persistence really is the attachment, if you like. I'm joined to it. I'm persisting in this same way. Resilience actually puts some distance. I can become the observer here. So just one last tip from each of you with either resilience or leadership. Yeah, positive action. Yeah, good one.
I think that resilience is my last tip, and then I'll shut up maybe for a while. I'll have to hang up to be quiet. But honestly, resilience is the knowing, and persistence, to me, persistence is the doing. Because I can be resilient and know that I've got to stay on hold with this idiot engineer in the Philippines. And I persist it by not hanging up the phone.
Good one.
I think.
Okay, Ben.
I think my tips would be to, this isn't for everyone, but I think it's a positive thing to build up some of the pats on the back that you've got. For example, on Twitter, I've just started creating a Twitter collection called testimonials. So whenever someone on Twitter says, "Oh, Vin, that was great the way you did that," or "Oh, I really love that, geez, you're so good at such and such," and so I've been compiling a Twitter collection of those tweets. I've also been compiling videos from people on Blab, so I've just captured the video and then cram it down to 15 seconds and put that on Instagram. So creating these testimonials and gathering together all of these compliments. I think when you're feeling as though you're not up to scratch, you don't have the skills to be the leader in the thing that you're doing, going back and reading these positive comments like affirmations, but they're affirmations from someone else, and it's not just you saying, "Oh, aren't I great?"
Right. Testimonials are very powerful.
Instead of trying to convince yourself of how great you are, you just look at what other people are telling you, and
you can do that same thing on LinkedIn too. You can ask people that you've done work for a testimonial. Like when I straightened out your blog, what did you like best about that? I would like to get a testimonial from you as a customer, and then they can do it on their LinkedIn profile. They can say a blah blah blah. Well, Ben Brown helped me with my blog, and it does a lot better getting newsletter subscribers or whatever the event was that you did for them. I've done that time and again, and it's a lot of worth to it. I've gotten jobs from people seeing my profile on LinkedIn. They said, "Well, we saw that you did this for this guy. Could you do that for us?" And so then I'll look at
really quite
their plan.
That's quite a different application of testimonials. I'm talking I'm talking about using them for your own benefit, as personal affirmations to uplift yourself, to pull you back on track, so that you can be more resilient.
Yeah.
Right. But you can go look at your LinkedIn testimonials just like you can the Twitter ones as well.
So I think that's important, Ben, because we often, I know it's kind of the era, the way we're raised, or the way society is, it's that tall poppy syndrome, don't think you're any better. And so we go the opposite and we put ourselves down. And so to take on all of those compliments and value them. So I love what you're doing there. I'm interested to hear a bit more about that with your testimonials and all of that. I've lost your voice, Ben.
I'm sorry, I muted myself because there was some background noise, so I didn't want to interrupt. And that's actually a good tip for people: if you're not speaking, mute yourself so that your background noise doesn't interrupt. I forgot what I was saying now, though. What was the question?
No, it was just being affirmed. Oh, well, I did say I'm interested to know more about how you're building those testimonials.
Right. So do go and have a look at Instagram.com/Vintuitive, and you'll see the video. You'll see the video testimonials that I've been building up there.
Yeah. Good on you. So I'm just going to wind up with what I think is a key to resilience and being a resilient leader, but personal resilience. And you will know it as the serenity prayer. I think that's one of the keys. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So that's where I'd like to end it. I think that's a great quote, a lot of wisdom in that. If only we can have the wisdom to know the difference. So thanks heaps for jumping in and helping me out on this chat, the blab. Thanks, Ben. So we'll catch you on another blab or around the traps.
You're welcome. Thank you, Marg. It was a great session.
Okay.